Fantasy football. What a rush. The rush of fantasy football. The rush of adrenaline, the fact that this play could make or break your weekend, what a rush it is. Today I'm going to talk about fantasy football, a sport about a sport. Fantasy football is based on the statistics for each individual player in the NFL. I've been playing for 2 years and ever since have been hooked. I love fantasy football. I used to be the kind of guy that watched a few games of the NFL, but not all of them. Now, because of fantasy football, I watch them all, just to see which players are going to score enough points for me to take me over the top to get that victory for the weekend. Fantasy football is a fantasy sport league in which a group of people, or better known as a league, get together and draft individual players based on their statistics for each game. That'll tell you how many points you have. The team is ranked weekly in a score based on that team's players' statistical on-the-field performances. The idea of fantasy football originated in 1962 when a group of the Oakland Raiders personnel got together on a road trip and decided that maybe football needed a little bit of something different. The league was called the Greater Oakland Professional Pigskin Football League. Because of technology today, everybody is now able to participate in their own league worldwide. All right, how to play. Fantasy football is based on the premise that you're going to draft 12 to 15 players, and throughout the league, the NFL schedule, you're going to get their points, and your overall team score is how you win. First, what you have to do in a fantasy football league is draft. That's where 10 of you or 12 of you get together, pick a time, a date, and a place, and they're going to draft players in order that you want on your team. Being that the first pick will probably get the best player in the league, but the 10th pick will get 2 picks because it goes back around, and what is called a snake roster draft. A lot of people, draft is the most important day of football for fantasy football players. This will tell you who on your team you will have the rest of the season. You can trade, but some players are undroppable, which means because they are so good, you cannot get rid of them or it will handicap you throughout the rest of the league. Most people go with 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 kicker, a defensive player, and a pseudo player, which can be a wide receiver or running back, and finally a tight end. Now the running backs and the tight ends and the receivers and the quarterbacks are going to produce the highest amount of points. Alright, when I say you're scored on the player's statistical on-field performance, basically how it works is you get 1 point for every 20 yards that person catches or that quarterback throws. You also get 1 point for each 10 yards of rushing. You get 1 point for every 10 yards of receiving for receivers. You get 6 points for a touchdown, whether it be the quarterback throwing it, that's 6 points for him, and the running back or receiver who scores that touchdown as well gets 6 points. You get -2 points for every interception, fumble, or safety. You get 1 point for every extra field goal made, and you get 3 points for each field goal made, and then additional points after 40 yards that each kick is made. You get 2 points for each turnover on defense, 1 point for sack, and 2 points for a safety, as I said before. You get 6 points also for every defensive play that results in a touchdown for the defense. You also get 2 points for each blocked kick. Okay, back to draft day. When you draft, you're going to want to pick a player, if you have the 1st to the 5th pick, that's going to produce a lot of points. Because on the back burner of the 5th to the 10th pick, you're going to probably want to go with a really good quarterback or a really good receiver. All right. When you do draft your players, you need to select a time where everybody can get together. During the draft, you're also going to have the commissioner, who in most cases is really just the person, the league captain, who, let's say, one person's arguing for another one about a trade, or they don't think the rules are fair. You can take it up with the commissioner, who has the administrative responsibilities that can fix that, or that can side from a third-party view. The league commissioner also is the one that's going to decide what the rules are, and he can add them. Let's say everybody in the league wants to do 2 points for every 10 yards receiving. The league commissioner is the individual who can do that. When it comes to the season, you also have to remember that even though you have a full roster of 12 or 15, you can also pick up free agents and drop your players. Now, when dropping your players that are already on your team, they're going to go to waivers, which is basically a 3 to 4 day waiting period before somebody else can pick them up. On waivers, you need to remember that the first pick in the draft normally has the last position in waivers. Why do I say this? If a fifth and sixth picks are going against each other on waivers, the person that has the highest ranking, which would have been the 6th pick, will get that waiver. But when it comes to just regular free agents, you can pick up whoever you want. You can pick up players if let's say one of your receiver has a bye week. You can pick up another receiver, put them in that spot and drop them and go back to your receiver. Always remember, you want to fill all the spots on your roster. You never want any empty spots. Just in case, pick somebody up just in case to see if maybe this weekend they're going to be the next Adrian Peterson. You never know. In conclusion, now that I've told you a little about fantasy football, I want to tell you a little story. 2 years ago when I was playing fantasy football, I didn't know anything about it at all. I'm right in your shoes. And one of my good friends asked me if I wanted to participate in his NFL fantasy football league at his work. At first I was a little hesitant, but after a little bit of coercing, I was like, why not? I love football. Sounds like fun. Well, after a shaky draft, which I had the 8th out of 12 picks in, wasn't sure who to pick up because I only know a few players in the NFL, I felt like I picked up a pretty solid team. Well, as the season started, I lost my first game and figured, oh man, what have I got myself into? Well, after the second game, I kind of won by a little bit, but could have done better. After that, there was no looking back. My players scored lots of points and put me ahead of every competitor I faced. After that, I went into the playoffs thinking that I was going to win the league. And what happened? I won. Just a little story. Wanted to share with you.